Okay. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. Okay. Hello, I'm just waiting for people to turn up before I get going. Let me see. Okay, let me see. I'm not usually on at this time, so we'll see what kind of turnout I get. Anyway, any turnout is fine by me. I usually get a few thousand over a period of an hour. People come and go, right? So it's hard to tell. Anyway, so while we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from. Hi, Jody Martinez. I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. Pouring rain right now. Halloween was last night. I always feel bad when it rains on Halloween. Poor kids, eh? My granddaughter, she's only 21 months old. They just stayed in the house and handed out candy because they didn't want to take her out in her costume, cold and wet. So, but yeah, so she doesn't know. She's only 21 months old. But I always feel bad when it's pouring rain on Halloween, which is pretty typical here in Vancouver. So I remember growing up, I don't remember getting as much rain growing up, or maybe it just didn't bother me as much, but I don't remember any Halloween being ruined by rain, put it that way. The kids don't care. Anyway, so Twin Falls, Idaho. Hi, Alicia. And we've got Vanessa and Tammy. And okay, I'll get on to your questions in just a minute. I'd just like to introduce myself first. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses, which are boot camp courses, one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into private coaching. I have a huge wait list, but I will get to it eventually. And what else? Oh, yeah, the podcast. So we've only been doing that for a year, so I sometimes forget to mention that. Anyway, so the podcast is called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. And if you want to see us do the podcast, my daughter and I do it together. It's filmed and it's put on YouTube. So hello, Melva from Australia. That's where my kids were born and raised. I was there for about 20 years. And Susanna from Oklahoma. Meg's from Toronto. Hello, Megs. Hope you had an amazing Halloween. Yeah, we went out for dinner. It was lovely, but I didn't get dressed up or anything. And okay, so I'm just going to start reading your questions. And I hope everyone had a great Halloween, and I hope the weather was good for you. It was pouring rain here in Vancouver last night. I felt so bad for all the little kids. Anyway, okay, so this is Renee on YouTube. I just started your board with my 3-year-old. I wasn't a leader before, but I'm learning. Any tips on her refusing to do the first consequence? We normally have to result to consequence 2. Yeah, she'll eventually learn. It's the second consequence that teaches them to do the first one. And don't make it anything huge. It can be pick up 10 toys in 10 minutes. Okay, you always give them the first 2 choices. They have the choice on how they behave. Then they have the choice on whether or not they do the first consequence. You come in on the third strike, you're out. I'm going to take something away. That's the second consequence, right? So you always want to give them a couple of choices. To do good is the first one. Then the second one is to follow the first consequence, which is a good deed, right? Doing a chore or something. And then the third time, then you come in. She'll eventually learn. Never show any anger, frustration, or disappointment. They're more likely to rebel. Okay, and Angel from Arkansas. Hello, Angel. Amanda from Maine. Hello. And I've also got Stephanie, Nicole, Alicia. I've already mentioned that. Louise. Johnson DeCoco. That's a cute name. Charles, Iowa. Mary. Hi, Mary from Iowa. Susanna Valdez. Sorry. Probably shouldn't have tried to even say that. Okay, did your granddaughter get dressed up? Yes, she went as spaghetti and meatballs. It was freaking adorable. I'm a sewer, so I made the pants for it, but the mom did all the other yarn and meatball. It was so cute. She was just adorable. Yeah, so she was just handing out candy because they couldn't go out in the pouring rain with her. She's only 21 months old. You know what's such a shame is that they put on, I remember doing this as a kid actually, putting on a costume and having to put a raincoat over top. So you can't even see what the poor kid is. Or else you'd get home and all your makeup would all be washed off. So yeah, it was adorable. Okay. This is, let me see, I'm just looking on, okay. So I'm just going to read what Susanna said. You said, sometimes I feel like I'm losing it as a parent, and then I see your videos and it just makes everything clear and helps me back on saddle. That's why I do this. I want you to realize that anyone can do this, by the way. I talk about leadership parenting. It's being a calm leader during the storms. And then you can be a crazy leader during the rainbows. That means when you're playing with them. When you're disciplining, it's all business. There's no emotions involved on your part at all. But yeah, the reason I do this is anyone can learn this, because I'm not a leader in my personal life at all. I'm a follower. Only people that are in my inner circle that I love and all that. But yeah, I don't want to make any decisions in my personal life. I want to be led. I make so many decisions in business and everything. So yeah. And so you don't have, why I'm telling you that is you don't have to be a leader by nature, because I'm not. I just find it, I probably could be. I've got quite a strong personality, but it just doesn't interest me. I don't want to be in charge of things and telling everyone where to go. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do that. It doesn't interest me at all. So you don't have to have that personality trait to be a good leader for your kids. That's the maternal stuff within me. That's very strong, which is leadership. To me, being a parent is a leader. So, and I love being a mother. I love being a grandmother. So that's all the maternal stuff that guides me into being a leader. Also, I'm very much a leader with my clients when I'm coaching them, because that's my job, is to, pull them along. So teach them what to do. Okay. So yeah, you don't have to be a leader by nature, but being a leader for your kids is quite different. Sorry, I'm just scrolling ahead to make sure you're here. And also, I just want to go back to YouTube because I got a few questions on there. This is La La Land. I don't know what your real name is. That's the only problem with some of these platforms, is you don't know the real name. Facebook, you usually get it, the real name. Anyway, sorry. I started my 5-year-old started preschool and loved it the first couple of months, but now has a fit not wanting to go and won't even eat there or participate. How can I get him to tell me what happened? Usually the teacher will know. Usually. Yeah, I would ask the teacher. Have you not asked the teacher what's happened? If he won't tell you, you can start trying do role playing. Say, you be you and I'll be someone else, or I'll be you and you be someone else. And, tell me why you don't like school. And then just do role playing with them. It's like theater. You're supposed to have fun doing it, by the way. Yeah. It's amazing seeing how your leadership parenting works and is making a big difference. Or a difference, you said. I threw in the big. Yeah, it's just common sense, really. I give respect to get it. I never expect to get respect without working for it. So a lot of parents make that mistake. Well, I don't know why my kid isn't listening to me. Have you earned that respect? Once they respect you, they don't give you any back talk. So yeah, you got to work for it though. That's what I teach here. Remember, it's never the kids, it's always you. So, and when I was working with kids, if they acted out under my mentorship or care or whatever, if they acted out, I always thought, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? Was it always my fault? Of course not. They weren't even my kids. I saw them for an hour a week. But a leader always takes full responsibility of a child under their care. It's just the way it is. Now, I don't know, Angie, if you're responding to something that I already answered, I'm not too sure. So if you already asked the teacher, I'm just going to go with this. So let's say you already asked the teacher why this kid didn't want to go to school. I would do the role playing. It's very hard for them not to let stuff slip when you distract them with role playing. Yeah. Just play them and then they play them and you play the other people or the teacher or whatever. How to handle a 2-year-old in a restaurant that doesn't want to stay in a high chair, but you want to get her used to restaurants. Does she stay in her high chair at home? So that's the thing, is you can't expect different behavior when they're out. They're the same people. So that could be part of it. Because my kids sat in the chair. They never got out of their chair at home. Why would they get out of a chair at a restaurant? So yeah, just make sure that you're consistent. That's all I can think of right now. Oftentimes parents feed their kids around the house. They're like grazers. They're like feeding them like in a field. My kids never got one thing to eat or drink unless they were sitting at the table. And they never even questioned it. They didn't know any different, right? So are you consistent across the board? Like, do they have to sit down and eat or drink at home? Can't expect different behavior from kids just because they're out somewhere. Oh, that's sweet, Tabitha. It's an acronym, WWLD. What would Lisa do? It's cute. Okay, you said, how do you be stern? I don't be stern, so I don't even want to answer that. Yeah, and then you mentioned autism. That's only coaching. I only discuss special needs during coaching, like one-on-one with me. So yeah, I don't do stern. Yeah, I'm a leader. I'm not an authority. Okay, your 3-year-old cries about everything. Okay, he's an emotional mess, right? So that's lack of leadership. Once you're a leader, it just calms them down organically. It's just the way it is. You're very much in charge. You also, if you give too many choices, it makes them feel unsafe. Okay, well, we have to go now. He starts to scream. Okay, well, what do you want to do instead? But it makes them feel scared almost. They want to know what's happening. They want to know you're in charge. They feel safe with a leader. Okay, so say, okay, we're going to be going to the shops now. We're going to be going to school or going, and then just make it happen. Follow through with everything. Don't say, okay, what do you want instead? As soon as you start talking like that, I'm guessing that's what happened or what's happening. As soon as you start talking like that, they just feel lost. They don't want to be in charge. They'll fight for it, but they don't really want to be in charge. Okay. Having a hard time with his diaper. He's 1.5 and goes nuts, screaming and rolling. You just got to fight through that. You got to win that battle. He's only 1.5 years old. Both my kids started the crocodile rolling around at that age, I'm guessing. And then I just said, nope. And then I put my arm across their chest just to hold them down. And I pinned their legs and did the best I could and got that diaper on. It might have been just on one leg or something. I don't know. It's not like it was done well, but I made sure I won that battle. So the next time they fought a little bit less, and then they just stopped fighting me. Okay, if you ever let them win or look angry or look flustered, they're going to keep doing it. So yeah, I just say, no, it's going to happen anyway. Make it happen. It's like my granddaughter. She's actually a very easy nature. She's 21 months old, but she's starting to say no. Funny thing is she says no and then does what you want anyway. No, and then she does it. But sometimes she puts up a little bit of a stink. So if she doesn't want to hold my hand crossing the street, she likes independence so she can walk where she wants and that. But I'll say, no, we're going to cross the street. Now you have to hold my hand. She goes, no. And then she'll try and pull away from me, but I just say, yeah. And then I just sort of pull her across the street and she just gives in. You see, when they know that when you say something, it's going to happen anyway, they don't tend to fight very often. Like they just sort of let go of it. They realize it's going to happen anyway. But also I don't use any anger and I don't discuss it. I promised I'd do that and it didn't get better. Okay, I have to go back and see what you did. I recommended something. Okay, then other stuff's going on. Are you consistent? Do you play with him a lot? When you say something, do you follow through? For sure, and you always stay calm when you follow through. So it might not be what's happening during the diaper change. It might be other times. Or it just might take a few weeks or something. He's just going through this. Also, if he's winning with someone else, it makes it harder for you. Like let's say dad changes him. Okay, and he gives in to him, gives him toys. It's going to make it a little bit harder for you at that age. Once they're older, they follow the leader. So it might just take time. They don't learn right away. Toddlers are nuts. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation so they're never bored. Number 3, you connect with toddlers in their world, not your world. Like you don't take them to the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. They just look at you differently. Number 4 is similar. You discipline them in their world. They're all about actions. They're not about words. If you're going to use those mini therapy sessions discussing everything so that they understand, understanding has nothing to do with what they're going to do or not going to do, by the way. Then they already understand right from wrong usually. So yeah, it's consistent corrective actions. It's all actions, okay? And the first 7 years, they form under actions. They form through observation, not listening. Okay, they're watching you, they're not listening to you. They kind of are, but they're formed by watching, not by listening. So think about that. If your kid's really little, he's all actions, right? Okay, and number 5, stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed upstairs, okay? They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. Imagine for the first 2 years, they're 2 years old, and the first year they were a potato laying on a mattress. Do you want to hear something cute? My daughter showed this to me last night. Someone said in a DM, my daughter does all the marketing and all the social media stuff. So in one of the DMs, someone said they dressed their baby up, their 2-month-old baby as a potato because I call them potatoes. So for Halloween, they were a little potato. Is that the cutest thing? I love that. I don't know if anyone else has ever called babies potatoes. I just always think they're just a potato laying on a mattress, basically. Actually, I love the baby stage. A lot of people don't. I understand it. I would say my two favorite ages are newborn and teenagers. Newborn because they're so fresh and you're discovering them, and you can start to see some little personalities come out. And I just find them fascinating. And then teenagers, of course, because they're so developed. By far actually, that's my favorite age, teenagers. Okay. Hello, Kadra from Florida. Any tips on getting a 2 and a 5-year-old to clean up their toys when it's time to clean up? You can't get a 2-year-old to do chores. Okay. You just can't. But what you can do is you can put for the 5-year-old, pick up, their rule is pick up 10 toys within 10 minutes of being asked to do so. And it can just be the things that they played with. It doesn't have to be something that only the 2-year-old played with. Okay. So, but even if the 2-year-old played with it, if they touched it, that still could be one of the 10 things. So just start there. The little ones watching will probably copy, right? Will want to get in on it. So that's the rule. And if they don't do it, then they have to do some other chore, or their consequences. Then you have to pick up 15 toys within 15 minutes. That could be the consequence. So it's pick up. Their rule is on the free behavior board. The rule is pick up 10 toys within 10 minutes of being asked to do so. Start there. There's other methods too, but because you've got 2 little ones, it's not fair to get the 5-year-old to clean up everything. That's why I said just 10 toys. And the 2-year-old's too little to do this with. Do you know what I did with my kids, though? I don't teach a lot of what I did because I was already a really strong leader from day one. So it was easier for me to instill this stuff. But I never really told them what to do. I would just say, I would wait till they asked for something. Mom, can we please go to the park, or can I please have a snack? Sure you can, sweetie, as soon as you put your toys away. And they would run around doing it. They never saw it as an order, which it wasn't. It was, you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. They learned that self-discipline from toddler age. Of course you can go in the pool as soon as blah, 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 right? Of course you can go on the PlayStation as soon as you finish cleaning up after dinner or finish your homework. Sure. You see? So they learned self-discipline. Then they got to the point, they were probably about 3 by this age. They never asked for anything until they looked around and made sure that their chores were done. It was no big deal. Like they didn't think anything of it. That's what I did. I don't teach that because a lot of parents, you got to sort of start early with that. You can give it a go. Might work. Sorry, I've got some wax melt going and it's so strong I got to blow out the candle. Just a sec. Smells good, but kind of toxic. I know, it's not healthy. It's just me smelling it. I'm not getting little babies around. I wouldn't do that with a baby around. You asked about your grandson. I don't teach grandparenting. I only teach leadership parenting. So yeah, I don't set grandparents up as leaders or anything. Like I'm a grandparent. I'm the grandparent. I'm not the leader. Like, okay. When I'm looking after her, I have my granddaughter 1 day a week. And then I usually see her another day a week with my son because the mother works on that day. So when I'm alone with her, I am a leader. But let's say I'm definitely a leader. But let's say the parents had said to me, from now on, can you please do this way or that way? And it goes against what I believe in. I would do whatever they tell me. Not my kid. Totally respect that. Their kid, their way. They're the parents. They're the leaders, right? So, but yeah, I would never give advice because that's unsolicited advice is an insult. Have you ever had a friend, let's say, who's overweight? Would you ever say, by the way, I found a great diet center you might like? It's an insult. They didn't ask you, you see? So that's why I would never give unsolicited advice to anybody. And certainly not as a mother or mother-in-law would I give that advice to them as parents. It's an insult. So that's why I don't like to give grandparenting advice. I don't want to be responsible for you insulting them. Hi from the UK. Hi, Corinne. I can say your last name is Young. That's easy. I love my grandkids. They're fun. Yeah, being a grandparent's great. It's not as good as parenting because I love parenting so much. Like it was the favorite thing I ever did. It was full time. I got those kids, it's not as good. I only see her 1 or 2 days a week. So that's why it's not as good. But I love her as much as my own kids. Oh, gosh. Yes, Anna. Have you ever experienced that after introducing the behavior board, a child's behavior gets much worse? Absolutely. They realize things are changing. You're upsetting the apple cart. Okay. You got to be willing to go through a storm to get to the rainbow. It often gets way worse before it gets better. Don't give up. Just realize that's part of it, is they realize you're trying to take control and they're going to fight you. They won't all do that. Some kids love it. They go, oh, finally, some order, some plans, some systems. And you're on there too. They love the fact that you're on there. So they get to discipline you too. So, but yeah, some of them who are more feisty will definitely get worse, for sure. Completely normal. Let's say you've been allowed to get away with stuff for years. All of a sudden, someone comes in and says, no more. You're going to fight for that back for a while, right? It's completely normal. Okay. Yeah, I didn't read the whole thing because, I just read the first part. Okay, let me see here. I'm just reading very long. If it's a really long question, I might not answer it because it takes me so long to read it, and it's not fair to people listening. Yeah, it's too long. Sorry. It's not fair to other people who are watching. Okay, my toddler loves the timer method as long as it's at least 2.5 minutes. Two and a half minutes for what? I don't quite understand that. That's Tabitha. Someone else said, do your strategies work for children on the autism spectrum? They can, but it's specifically designed for children who are not special needs. So if they're ASD, like on the spectrum, then that's not ASD. Sorry. It is ASD. I got it all mixed up. I was thinking NAS. NAS is narcotic addiction syndrome. I'm getting all these acronyms mixed up here. Sorry. Anyway, if there's special needs, that's more one-on-one coaching with me. I have to assess the situation. I have to assess what did work and what didn't work and how to move forward. And also what other support you have. You know, I'm just one cog in that big wheel of dealing with kids with special needs. I'm just about the parent-child relationship. So a lot of it does work, yes, but there might be stuff that doesn't. Okay, 7-year-old's constantly trying to get my almost 3-year-old into trouble, tattling, feeding, into bad behavior. Okay, so I go after the 7-year-old, not the 2-year-old. I go after the 7-year-old. Quit causing trouble with your little brother is what I would say. But then you didn't say if it's boys or girls. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I would put that on the behavior board. Quit trying to get your little brother into trouble, or your little sister, whatever it is. Yeah, that's what I would do. And you got to be on top of that, though. You want to have those nanny cams around the house so you can see what's going on. That's the problem. You got to know what's going on before you can fix it, right? A lot of parents say, well, I don't know what's going on. You got to figure it out. Years ago, I had this client, and I always say, which kid is our target? If they have several kids, which kid is usually one target or maybe two. So I say, well, which kid is our target? And this family in particular, it's years and years ago. And they said, oh, it's such and such. And I said, oh, okay. And then they started talking and telling me what he was doing. And I said, I don't think he's the target. I think it's the other one. They were adamant. This one kid was getting in trouble at school and everything. And I said, no, I think it's the other one. So anyway, they didn't believe me, which I understand. And because everyone said it was this other one. So just one thing they told me, and I thought, yeah, it's not him. So anyway, there was 2 boys. So anyway, I said, well, can you take a video? Or I don't remember how we did it. I think I was like a fly on the wall kind of thing. I had the camera. This is 20 years ago or something. So I was watching it live, and it was during our session. So I was watching it live. And then one of the parents got up afterwards and took me in the room on their computer. And then we discussed it. And I said, they had taped it too. And I said, you watch that back. I said, the other one, it was at the dinner table. And the one who was trouble was just angry all the time, frustrated. And I looked over, and the other one had this smirk, and I just saw this little tilt. They had kicked that kid under the table. They were causing all this trouble, making this kid so frustrated, so angry. And every time he'd blame the other kid, the other kid that was being blamed all the time would yell so much, telling it. It just was a total misrepresentation, like what the parents were telling me. And they just didn't know. So we started going after the other kid. Everything changed overnight. It was unbelievable. So you got to figure out what's going on, okay? It's not always the kid who's hitting. It's often the ones who's causing it. Okay, there are a lot of us grandparents being parents because they're not in their lives. If you're in the parenting role, I deal with a lot of that. Okay, a lot of my clients are aunts, uncles, parents, or whatever. I've even had foster parents hire me. So if you're in the parenting role and you have custody, then I can talk to you. Then I would set you up in the leadership role. It's the parenting. It's that role is what I'm talking about. You don't have to be the biological parent. Boy, it's tricky when you've got that situation going on and you've got grandparents raising grandkids, and then the parents flutter, one of the parents flutters in every so often, then leaves again. Holy moly. I don't want to state my opinion on that right now, but it is really rough on the kids and the grandparents. There's lots of messy situations. I've dealt with a lot of stuff in coaching. Anyway, I'm going to stay on YouTube the whole time, but I'm going to move over to Instagram now. If you want to follow me over there. If not, check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my boot camp courses, one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into one-on-one coaching with me if you want to work with me. There's a big wait list for that, but I'll get to it eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast. That's free, no wait list. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. And we also film ourselves. My daughter and I work together. We also film ourselves and we put that on. She does all this and she puts it on YouTube if you want to watch us do the podcast. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to Instagram now. Happy parenting. Let's see. Keep changing buttons that you have to push. I'm not great with technology anyway. It frustrates the heck out of me. Okay. Do you know what's frustrating about being on social media now, like with my business, is I can't post any pictures of my personal life or my granddaughter on any platform anymore. I'm just very protective. And it's frustrating because she's so freaking cute. And everyone else gets to post all their grandkids, and I just can't. So people think I've just dropped off the edge of the earth. No, it's just business now. And by the way, if you do see me out in public, feel free to come up. Every day I get people coming up to me. Feel free to come up. And you're welcome. People even take pictures of me, which I think is ridiculous. But anyway, so, just if I'm with my granddaughter, no pictures. None. Yeah, I don't really need a private account. Anyone I'm close to, they already know, but I don't ever share any pictures anywhere. I'm very careful with that. And I don't even go on social media for fun anymore because my business is so intense with social media. So yeah, I've kind of lost touch with a lot of people and really when you think about it, they weren't people I saw a lot of anyway. So it was just people that you kind of, oh, that looks nice. They got grandkids now. So yeah, I don't have that anymore. I don't see that anymore. Okay, so I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up. It's a weird time for me to be on. I'm going to be heading out soon. So I thought, I'll kill some time by doing a live, which I love doing. My favorite thing in my business is coaching. My second favorite is probably the podcast. And then, because I do it with my daughter, it's the only time we ever work together. I mean, we work together, but we're never together when we work, except when we do the podcast. And I love doing lives. Love it. Okay. Do you have an opinion on ADHD meds for 6-year-old boys? No, I'm not a doctor. And I'm not one to have stupid opinions. If I don't know a lot about something, I don't tend to have an opinion on it. I'm very open-minded. So yeah, I don't have an opinion at all. Like in my personal life, I have no opinion. I'd have to research the heck out of that before I'd make any decisions. So yeah, I don't have any qualifications or opinions on it. Are you the only one with no sound? I hope you are. Because could everyone else hear me? Okay, thanks for your work. You're very welcome. I love what I do. My daughter and I, we talk about it all the time. We love this business. We leave a lot of stuff on the table that we don't pursue financially that we get offered because we're keeping it very, very, not homemade, very family-oriented business. And our main goal is that you enjoy parenting. But yeah, we're very careful with what we put out there and who we don't collaborate with people. And, we're very, very careful because I want my message to be really clean and I don't want it to be, we don't want it to be watered out by doing a bunch of work with other people and that. So we're very careful and we love what we do. Love it. She loves marketing. and running the business, the planning. And, but yeah, and I'm the parent person. So, and I hate what she does. She hates what I do. She could never come on here and talk. She hates all this stuff. She hates giving advice. Although she seems to be fine with me. But anyway, giving me advice. Okay. Well, I love what I do. You have a 2-year-old who sometimes slaps you. Then he says, I'm sorry. I don't care about the words I'm sorry. It does nothing to change behavior whatsoever in adults or kids or nothing. The words I'm sorry are just empty. It's the amends are the lessons. It's the making amends. So if he hits you, you just say no. And then I would get up and quietly walk away if he hit me. Don't look angry. Just say nope. And then I'd get up. So I'd remove myself if he hit me. That you're sending the message. Someone says, when not eating or wasting food can be on a behavior board, what could be the consequence? No. That's in the nutrition, medical, health department. In coaching, I do discuss stuff like that, but I'm very careful. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, and I don't like to put food on the behavior board because you're mixing up the relationship with your kid and health and nutrition. You see, I'm not qualified to discuss that. In coaching, we do some workarounds, but I'm very careful with how I talk about that. Okay, you got my hands tied here. I'm a disabled mom who can't physically get up and move my child to enforce behavior. How do I enforce the rules without being mobile? Very difficult with a toddler. If they're older, you can, because it's more words and consequences. With a toddler, I can't help you with that. If you've got a toddler destroying something and you're not able to stop them physically, I can't help you with that. Although sometimes I am hired by disabled people and we figure out stuff, but not knowing the specific situation, I can't help you. That would be one-on-one coaching. And even then, there's no guarantee I could come up with something. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, with toddlers, yeah, they're more physical. Love your podcast. Thanks for your support. A lot of people don't know we have a podcast. I'm surprised at that. A lot of people hire me without even realizing I have a podcast. My daughter and I do that together. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. I think she said we just filmed our 120th episode, but we've got a lot in the bank. I think we're banked up for a couple of months. So we just did one. Oh, she's dying to put this one out early, but she's very pedantic how she does everything. We did one the other day. She's dying to put it out there. I'm a little bit embarrassed I almost cried. And she said it's going to be a good one, Mom. But yeah, it probably won't come out till December. But yeah, we love doing the podcast. I probably should tell you what it is, what I said, because she said, I've never heard you say that before. And I said, I don't think I ever have. I might get emotional again. It came out in a podcast and I thought, I should probably talk about this. Anyway, there was a question from a parent, because when we do the podcast, we're answering questions, right? They're already submitted ahead of time and she reads them out. My daughter reads them out. Anyway, so it was about ignoring tantrums. And then I always talk about how you ignore tantrums. And then I don't know how it came out. And I said, that the important thing is when they have a tantrum, the most important part of ignoring is the not ignoring when they're done. It's the connecting when they're done. So you completely ignore a tantrum. You're filing your nails, waiting for it to stop. As soon as it's done, you go, oh, you all done? Do you want to go read a book? And I said, if you don't do that connecting afterwards, I would rather you never ignore a tantrum. Give them all the attention you want during a tantrum. If you're not going to do the connecting with them afterwards, it's useless. It's just mean. It's the connecting after the ignoring that makes it work. They will learn when I'm acting like a fool, having a screaming fit, I get no attention. As soon as I stop, I get attention. They've got to have a reason to stop. The attention, the connecting is their reason to stop. But yeah, I almost cried when I said that during the podcast. I don't know where I was in that moment. I'm not crying now. But does that make sense? Never ignore a tantrum if you're not willing to connect after one. Then that's just mean. Give them all the attention you want during a tantrum, hugs, love, whatever you want. If you're not going to connect afterwards, do not ignore a tantrum. 107 episode is next. Thanks, Tabitha. Tabitha turns up almost on all my lives. I don't even know how you see it. You must have notifications or something. So yeah, so she turns up on all my lives. She seems to know more about what's going on in my company than I do. But does that make sense? Does that resonate? That I always talk about ignoring a tantrum, but I don't think I've ever really emphasized the importance of connecting afterwards. It's far more important than the ignoring. Far more important. The reason why I've never really said that is I just thought that was obvious. But how stupid am I? It's not obvious. If you don't know it, you don't know it, right? That's a bad teacher. That's a bad teacher, expecting people to know what they don't know. That's just stupid of me. Can't believe I haven't emphasized that in the past. Okay. No sound here. So there is no sound. Sound. So are you getting sound or not? No sound here. So it sounds like people can't hear me here. Is anyone getting sound? Can anyone hear me on Instagram, TikTok, or pardon me, YouTube? I know you can hear me. Can you hear me on Instagram? Just maybe say yes or thumbs up if you can. Sometimes they glitch. If you can't hear me, you won't be able to. Oh, I hear you. Okay, good. So someone's hearing me. Okay, good. Okay, so it's just some people can't. I don't know what's going on. I don't try and figure it out anymore. My daughter and she finds me really annoying around technology. And so I'm not allowed to discuss it with her. Like yesterday, I tried to ask her about something on an app. And she goes, I'm not in a headspace to deal with you, Mom. I'm button happy. I'm always pushing buttons and she's trying to get me not to. So she always sends me in that corner and then she'll figure it out. Yeah, so don't ask me about why you can't hear me. I don't know. Breaking up and glitching. Okay, what I might just do, and then someone said I can hear fine. Okay, I don't know. Okay, anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to veer off a little bit here and talk about a couple other things that I like to talk about. One thing that is overdone with parents is trying to get their kids to understand everything. They're over-explaining everything. The more you explain, the more they complain. They already know, okay? So kids past the age of 2.5, they understand right from wrong. They just intrinsically understand good and bad behavior. They just do. Hitting is bad. Hugging someone good. Like they just understand nice behavior and bad behavior. Okay. This compulsion to explain everything to your children, you're treating them like morons, and they're not morons. Okay. They already know. If you've already explained it in the past, you've got a 6-year-old who, let's say, hits his little brother, and you feel the need to explain why he shouldn't and how that hurts the little brother, you're missing the boat. He doesn't care, okay? It never works. It's not lack of understanding is the problem. It's the lack of impulse control, and the impulse control is interrupted by a consequence. They will stop the impulse if they think they're going to get a consequence. It's like if we all understand we shouldn't speed. Am I correct? We all understand that. Do you sometimes speed anyway? Is it because you don't understand, you're that stupid that you don't understand you're not supposed to speed, right? It's the same with kids. So everyone's over-explaining everything. I want them to understand. They already understand. That has nothing to do with behavior, okay? Nothing. Understanding right from wrong has nothing to do with whether or not they do it. Think about it. Oh, what do you do when your kid is ill? Oh, I do whatever they want. I give them whatever they want, spoil them rotten. If they're sick, I'm catering to their every want. Yep, absolutely. 100%. Discipline goes out the window. If they're sick, they got a fever especially, whatever they want. Okay, I know that Instagram's glitching a little bit and I kind of got to go soon. Oh, I got to go soon anyway. So I'm going to go over to TikTok now if you want to join me over there. If not, go to my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. If you want to work with me one-on-one, there's a huge wait list for that. I'll get to it eventually. It's very stressful, this wait list. Anyway, we're doing our best to try and figure out how to manage this. Anyway, or you can look into our podcast. That's completely free and there's no wait list. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. My daughter and I film it together. If you want to watch us, we put it on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll be over to TikTok in about 1 minute. Happy parenting. Okay. God, there's a lot of buttons to push here. Gee, oh, and TikTok's added new ads that start up right away. Didn't used to do that. So it's an extra button to push. There we go. Okay. How to manage behavior in the store. She does not listen when in the store. Well, that means that you're a different parent. I'm the exact same parent no matter where I am. That says to me that you're not consistent. So yeah, you've got to be the same parent that you are when you're out as you are when you're home. Okay. How do you transition out? Transition out of what? Oh, transition out of feeling, oh, once they feel better, you go right back. Yeah. They kind of, and I talk like, oh, you're sick. Oh, look, I change the environment too. I have them on the couch with pillows and blankets and maybe a bucket if they're that, that way. So yeah, and then they understand when the blankets and pillows and bucket go away, then we're back to normal. They transition. They're much more pliable than you think they are. We're the ones that struggle. Okay, welcome to the live. I'm on TikTok and I was just talking to YouTube because I'm on YouTube the whole time whenever I'm doing a live. So, and I go from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I do have a huge wait list for that. We're trying to figure out how to deal with this. I will get to eventually. And by the way, people get kind of upset with me because if you don't pay that invoice for coaching within 48 hours, if I remember, I will cancel that invoice because I got so many people waiting in the back wings. So if you've missed that opportunity, you have to go to the back of the line again. It's just the way it is. If you don't take that opportunity within 48 hours, then it goes to the next person in line. It's a fair way to do it, right? So anyway, coaching is difficult right now, trying to figure all that out. That's my favorite thing to do, so I'm not going to give it up. I could give it up and avoid all this stress, but anyway, I love coaching. It's my favorite thing. Anyway, and someone else complained that I do often say that my existing or past clients always get first priority. They don't have to go on the wait list. Someone said that's not fair because then we don't even get a chance. And I said, well, that's just the way I do it. I'm not going to abandon people I've already put hours into, right? They are going to take first priority and they always will. That's just the way I run it. I'm not going to abandon people that have already invested in me and I've invested in them. So it's just the way it goes. So sorry about that. We're just doing our best here. Okay. And no one else can do what I do because it's, how can I teach this 50 years of experience? It's just me doing it. I'm the only one who does coaching. Anyway, enough about that. It's just kind of going through our minds right now, trying to figure it out. Also, if you want to listen to the podcast, that's free and there's no wait list for that. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms and you can watch us. We actually record ourselves video on YouTube if you want to watch the podcast. So BratBusters Parenting Podcast. We just did 120th. We filmed yesterday episode and that'll be out by December, I think, because they're all lined up. Anyway, here we go. Thanks so much for joining me. What's your number one tip for tantrums? I was just talking about that on Instagram and on YouTube. Tantrums are to be ignored because they're not big on emotions and feelings. They're based on anger and frustration at not getting their own way. Okay. So you do not need to address that. It's up to them to learn to get themselves out of that. Okay. So what you're doing is you're standing nearby, just filing your nails, look like you're waiting for a bus. Don't look on your phone. Don't get into a conversation. I think that's rude. They're still going through something. So while their head is spinning and they're having a fit, right? So you're just standing nearby. As soon as they stop, then you connect and you go, oh, you all done? Do you want to go read a book? If they start up again, just go, oops, okay, and go back to filing your nails. Okay. You're sending the message that crazy behavior gets ignored, never gets them what they want, which is attention. Any attention is tantrum food. I want a hug. They'll say anything to get your attention. No way. I'm filing my nails. And then afterwards, you've got to connect. I was just talking about that on Instagram, that the connection is really important. If you don't connect after the tantrum, don't even ignore the tantrum. It's the connection which makes it all work. What you're teaching them is that acting crazy gets nothing. But as soon as I calm down, I learn how to control my own anger. As soon as I do that, then I get attention. Okay. That's what you're teaching them. Okay. Oh, you said, does that go for under one? Oh, so you said for under one. Yeah, but they're so little at that age. They might start banging their heads on the ground or something. You might want to pick them up and walk around with them like they're a sack of potatoes and you face them out so you're not cuddling them and just let them cry it out just to prevent them from hurting themselves and to know that they're not alone, right? So you just kind of cart them around and pretend like you're just doing chores. As soon as they calm down, then you might want to sit and read to them or something. But yeah, don't coddle them or console them after a tantrum either. That's validating it. To just go, you're all right. Okay, let's read a book. They can cuddle into you a bit, but don't go overboard. Oh, I love you. Do you feel better? Were you upset? I don't talk about it. No, I don't put my attention where I don't want it to go. Like wherever you put your attention, energy, and focus is what grows. I don't want the tantrums to get worse. I want them to get better. So I don't put any of my energy or attention or focus on the tantrum or bad behavior. I just deal with, and a tantrum is not bad behavior. But bad behavior, I deal with it, but then I don't put my energy. The energy goes into the good kid. Okay. Oh, I just want to mention someone DM'd us. My daughter does all that. Someone DM'd us and they said that they dressed up their 2-month-old as a potato, because I always say if they're only 2 years old, the first year they were a potato laying on a mattress. So they sent that the DM. They said they dressed their 2-month-old up as a potato. Is that the cutest thing? Oh, that's really sweet, Izzy. Thanks so much for that. Someone said to me, one of my clients said, how do you know all this stuff? Like, there's a lot of psychology behind all this. I've never had any training. Kids taught me all this. I've been studying kids since I was little. I can remember. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11. I was good at it. I was good at dealing with kids. I just understand them. I was always, but because I was obsessed with figuring them out. And it just makes sense. And I'm very good at remembering how I felt at 4, 11, 7, 14. I can literally remember how I was thinking, my brain process. So yeah, so I was always trying to figure out kids. If you can figure out kids and teenagers, adults are kind of a piece of cake too. Like it's just, we're all similar. We all have wants and needs. We all, try and fit in. We all have, it's just quite fascinating. But I have no formal training, but kids taught me all this. They were my teachers, and teenagers especially. And but yeah. Anything that you put that many decades into, you kind of figure it out. South Africa. Hello, Avril. Okay. Totally defiant 2-year-old, nearly 3, runs off and doesn't do as told. Start with the free behavior board. That's completely free. It's on my website, BratBusters Parenting. No, it's called BratBusters.com. Is it? BratBusters.com. And the podcast is BratBusters Parenting. Anyway, so start there, and it's now nearly 3. You can kind of start the behavior board maybe a month under 3, but not really any more than that. So yeah, just start there and start to get a plan, start to get a system, and start to be consistent. You're on there too, okay? 3 is a real fork in the road. At 3 years old, they either get easier or more difficult because they've got you figured out at that point. Are you a leader? They get more difficult. Are you not? Or they get easier. If you're not a leader, they get more difficult. If they have it in them, some kids are just more laid back, but generally that's the fork in the road. They're able to reason. Have I got a leader for a parent or not? Am I going to take charge, or am I just going to do the right thing, right? Because there's a consequence if I don't. So yeah, 3 is a real fork in the road. 3 was our hardest year by far. Yeah, I can't assess that because that was probably my easiest, because I went through the first couple of years when they're all feet, no brains, right? And then 3, they could stop and think. And I was a leader, so then they just got really easy to be with. So, but yeah, I don't know what's going on there, so I can't really assess that. How do I reply to, they're 3. How do I respond to why? How do I reply? Just say, answer once and then say, yeah, I already said that, and then change the subject. You control the narrative, control the energy in the room. Okay. But why? Say, well, you can even say, I don't know. Maybe we could figure it out later. Okay. Nice day out. Control it. But why? You haven't answered my question. They're being rude at that point. Okay. That's when it goes into the rude department. That's when I just go, oh, well, then I just change the subject. Sometimes they do that just to get attention because it's a control thing too, right? And another thing too is, like, think about it. If you find a way to get your parents' attention and control them, you're going to overuse it. Why? I don't understand. Why? You don't love me. Everybody hates me. You got to decide whether or not those things are just done for control or if they're real, Sometimes they'll say whatever, because one parent said to me, well, I'll never say no to a hug, no matter what's going on. So the kid is kicking and screaming, I need a hug. And you'll hug them during that fit. Big mistake. They just controlled you. They pulled you down to the low road with them. Stay on the high road when they're on the low road and they're acting out. Stay on the high road. Do not go down to meet them. You wait till they come up to meet you. You can't argue with a calm, loving parent forever. They will eventually give in. A 19-month-old banging their head on the floor, just physically restrain them so that they can't hurt themselves, someone else, or damage property. Yeah, but you still don't talk to them or look at them. Don't give them any attention. Just keep them safe, right? That's all. Yeah. Tips for toddlers. This is from AI. Al, I don't know. Try ignoring attention-seeking behavior. It depends if they need attention. I always assume that you're already connected with your kids and you give them plenty of positive attention. That's when you can ignore it. But if you're not giving them any positive attention, you don't ignore the negative attention, right? So you don't ignore the bad if you're ignoring the good also. Don't even get me started on that. That's a whole other thing. I think we're going to have to do a podcast on that, on why you don't just ignore bad behavior, or you don't just ignore tantrums without the positive attention. You got to do the connecting right after a tantrum. What about generalized crying versus tantruming? We still need to show our kids affection. If they're crying over someone hurt their feelings, or it's when they're crying because they didn't get their own way, because they didn't get what they wanted. That's the stuff that you ignore. It's when they're crying because they're hurt. You don't ignore a kid crying because they've hurt themselves, right? But yeah, it's when they're mad because they didn't get their own way. When you've said no to something, and that's when you ignore. After a tantrum, you connect how? So as soon as you're filing your nails during a tantrum, they're having a fit, their head spinning, green peas soup's coming out of their mouth. You know what I mean? Like they just go nuts, right? You're just waiting, look like you're waiting for a bus. Do not look at them or talk to them. As soon as they're done, you go, oh, y'all done? Do you want to go to the park? Or do you want to go read a book? Or do you want to go help me do the dishes? See my tone? And it's got to be fast. They've got to connect. That when they often will start up again with that, and then you go like this. Oops, go back to ignoring. It's a really good message. Okay, they'll connect it even quicker that way. And then as soon as they calm down again, oh, y'all done? You want to go read a book? Right? Think about it. It's so quick. They connect the dots. Wait a minute. Crazy gets me nothing. Calm gets me what I wanted all along, which is attention. Right? You're not going to give them what they wanted, like what they were crying, the item they were crying over. Like if they wanted ice cream and you said no, they're not going to get ice cream. But what they really wanted during the tantrum is attention. What age do you truly start discipline? It's about 1.5 years in there somewhere. Before that, you're just more redirecting. So I always say that they're toddlers 16 to 35 months. You can start the disciplining, which is consistent corrective actions with toddlers. You can start that at around 16 months, but it's a gray area. Under that, it's just basically redirecting. You say no and then redirect. Can you do some episodes on behavior board for kids with ADHD? No, because they're not different from any other kid. I don't treat that as a special need. Okay. So no, it's all the same stuff. Those are all the kids I learned this with. I did not learn this with my own kids. I was a leader from day one, so they never challenged me. There was no discipline. Well, I was in trouble a lot. I'm a bit crazy. So I was the one who got in trouble the most. Not my kids. So yeah. But I learned all that. All the kids I worked with, they all had ADHD, WXYZ. I used to call them the alphabet kids. They taught me all this. That's where I learned it. So yeah, don't label your kids and think they're different just because they got ADHD. It just takes a little bit more patience, right? A little bit more time and patience. Also, a lot of kids who are labeled with ADHD, like it was so sad, when I was working with kids, they would often introduce themselves to me. Hi, I'm Luke. I have ADHD. Like as if that's part of his identity. I used to have an acronym, and darned if I can remember what it was. I think it was COL. Hi, I'm Lisa, and I have COL. And they, what's that? And I go, crazy old lady. I had something like that, and they'd laugh. Yeah, like in other words, don't label them. Yeah. I've got a lot of controversial opinions on that, but I'm not 100% sure I'm right. So what I mean is I've got a lot of personal opinions on labeling children, They can have diagnoses, yes, but it's the way it's presented to them is what I have issues with. Like I'm really fussy, like clean with myself and my home. I'm a hygiene freak, and probably too much so. But if someone was to label me as like that was a negative, I would feel bad about myself. Whereas it's just a part of my personality. Like ADHD is just a part of their personality. It doesn't make them better or worse. Being ultra fussy doesn't make me better or worse than anybody else. You see? It's just a tendency. It's something that's a little glitch, something that's a little bit different. I was born like this. I have no control over it. I'm not OCD. I'm borderline, but I'm actually not OCD. But yeah, I don't feel any shame in being fussy. I don't want kids with ADHD feel any shame in their lack of impulse control and their lack of ability to concentrate and their impulsiveness. And, so yeah, because I worked with all those kids. So I'm kind of have a soft spot for that. One of my, how do you feel about timeouts for toddlers? God, I hate timeout. Don't do it. Hate it. Hate it. You go over there. You're not even worth talking to. You go sit in a corner and you think about what you did. Then afterwards, we're going to discuss all the bad things you did. I hate it. Imagine if you made a mistake at work and your boss said, you go sit in a corner for 10 minutes. It's the exact same thing. It's demeaning. It's mean. Yeah, I don't like it. Can't stand it. Never done it. Never will. Actually, I have to go. I got to run. I don't want to be late. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I got to go. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my boot camp courses, one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into coaching. I've got a huge wait list. I'll get to it eventually. Sorry about that. Or you can look into our podcast, No Wait List, and it's free. And it's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. And if you want to watch my daughter and I film it, because we work together, it's on YouTube. So thanks so much for joining me. Happy parenting. And I hope you had a great Halloween. Bye now.